Hello. Ooh. I think I got one of Niles's hairs in my nose. Oh god. Hello everyone and welcome to part 4 in my video series of my self-publishing journey. Today we are talking about what is arguably the most fun of the entire process, getting a cover for the book. This is a step that I think that many, if not most, aspiring authors fantasize about a lot. I can't even count how many times I pictured what my cover would look like, saving images of covers that I liked as inspiration. It was definitely the step I looked forward to the most, which is why I made a very crucial mistake here early on. But more on that later. Let's go through the fun stuff first. I just want to point out that the package that I got was tailored by the designer that I hired, and that other designers might do things differently. So there are for sure many different ways on how to do this, but I'm sure you already knew that. So after finding a designer that I liked on Reedsy, we began our collaboration by me sending her a small excerpt from my manuscript. It was just a small sample, about 1400 words collected from different chapters, and it helped her get a feel for my novel. Along with the excerpt, I also sent images of the covers that I liked and were also in the same genre as mine, because it was important to make sure that my novel fits in with other novels aimed at the same target audience. Apart from this, I also made sure to send all kinds of information that I thought would be relevant for the cover, the importance of nature, for instance, and I specifically wanted some representation of oak, willow, cherry blossom, and crystals on the cover. The next step was that I received 3 different mock-ups, which were just single-page black and white concept covers. They all followed the theme that I had requested, but in different ways, and I could give my feedback on them and choose one to continue working with. And goodness, that was so difficult. I'm known for being incredibly indecisive, so I had to ask family and friends for their opinion, which of course didn't help me one bit because they all preferred different ones. In the end, I made a decision, clearly, but to this day, I am still not confident that it was the correct one. I mean, don't get me wrong, I absolutely love my cover, but I just think that I would have loved the other versions just as much. It doesn't really help either that the more you stare at them, the more muddled everything seems. So I would definitely suggest taking a few days to sleep on it and just ponder before making a final decision. At this stage, I could also give some feedback, like I wanted the title text a little different and things like that. The next versions she sent me were 4 different versions of the same mock-up that I had chosen, but this time in color. The only difference between these were in terms of the color shades and different illustrations being in different colors, like some were golden, some white, and some black. You would think that this decision wouldn't be as difficult as the first one, but it is. It's just as difficult. I've always envied people who are quick to know what is right for them. Like they just take one look at it and immediately they know. I am not like that. I will probably never be like that. I need to take my time to really think about it, and that's okay too. After we had established the final look of the cover, she also made me an ebook cover and some social media images inspired by the cover to use in marketing, and that was all included in the package. So that was the fun part. Now I want to talk about the mistake I made, which almost kind of ruined the experience for me a little bit. So in self-publishing, there is in my opinion, an order in which to do things. It goes like this. Number 1, critique partners and beta readers. Number 2, professional edit. Number 3, proofread. Number 4, final print formatting. And number 5, cover. I've come to this conclusion through trial and error because the order in which I did things looked a bit more like this. Yes, I hired a designer to make a cover for me pretty much as soon as I was finished with the beta reader stage. I was naive enough to think that I would just finish the cover and professional edit simultaneously and then do the formatting myself. That's a story for another day. And then be done with it all in like 3 months or so. But it ended up taking me a year and a half. So to contextualize this, I hired an editor. I hired a designer through Reedsy in October 2019, but then the professional edit wasn't finished until mid-January 2020, and then I had completely underestimated how long it would take to go through all of that feedback and implement it. So it wasn't until November 2020 that I even got to the point of hiring a proofreader. And that isn't even the worst part. Even though I had the details of my cover finalized, I still didn't have the proper files yet because, of course, I didn't have the final details of my physical book. The designer needed, I'm gonna show you. The designer needed the measurements, like here and here, as well as the spine width, like so, which is determined by the number of pages as well as what kind of paper is used. Very crucial information that I didn't have access to yet because I hadn't finished the formatting. I didn't even have the final word count. So I had no other choice but to tell my designer, I will get back to you on that, for a year and a half. Thankfully, my designer, Miss Nutmeg, was super accommodating, and when I was finally able to give her those final details, she immediately put everything in there and sent it back to me within a day. So I was very grateful for that. I suppose as a first-time self-published author, there is this insecurity and to some degree imposter syndrome that makes you really nervous about the level of your professionalism. And I'm also that kind of person in general who's really afraid of people disliking me. So it was really anxiety-inducing for me to keep this thing unfinished for so long, to just have to rely on my designer still being there when I get back to her, and for her to not see me as unprepared and unprofessional. Because, of course, it is my intention to hire her again for my next book. I think it's only normal to aim for long-term working relationships rather than hiring new people every time. But thankfully for me, she was super nice about it taking so long and would still like to work with me again in the future. So there's no harm done, even though it was far from ideal. The good thing to come out of this, of course, is that I learned my lesson. For my second book, I will do things differently, which I suppose is proof of my progress. But yeah, that was my experience working with a cover designer. Next time, we will delve into what turned out to be the deepest trench for me in this whole endeavor: the formatting of the print file. That will be out very soon. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you back next time.